Today we're talking about the reveal of this year's Choose Legends 8 winners in Fire Emblem Heroes. This will be just some first impressions based on what the Faye channel showcased. We'll do a proper banner video once all the info comes through with the update. For any new players, Choose Legends is a special voting event held annually in Fire Emblem Heroes a little before the anniversary in February. The top 2 men and women get special outfits/versions, and this year it was Felix, Alfonse, Bernadetta, and female Robin. We typically refer to these as Brave Alts because the very first CYL used that moniker. First up, Brave Female Robin, the very first avatar to get a repeat win, and boy are the devs sticking to that avatar status. Female Robin is dressed up exactly like male Robin's Brave Alt from last year. The outfit itself is unique and new, the art is fantastic, but I personally think it's pretty disappointing they just went with an exact copy. Female Robin has a bow instead of male Robin's tie-like neck piece, but other than that, it looks the same. As a unit, Brave Female Robin is a colors infantry mage. She's definitely taken some cues from this year's Do a Young Robin. Her Exalt's Tactics Tome has a slaying effect, and if a rally or movement assist is used by Robin, she can apply Divine Vein Ice to tiles 2 spaces away from her target. After Robin acts or at start of either phase in 8th raids, Robin can apply Divine Vein Ice as well. So, Divine Vein Ice is a new terrain, and like an Engage, it's actually a deployable obstacle. Enemies cannot pass through them and can destroy them in one hit. However, allies can move through them and onto ice terrain as well. Instead of destroying the ice, allies will block any attacks by enemies. Ice tiles have no combat effects, but movement blocking is quite powerful. I really like the Obstruct Staff in Engage, and I literally trapped Sigurd in a corner with it on his Paralog. Robin's going to be an interesting unit for this alone, and you may be able to bully the AI with it, although you may also trigger unexpected things if dancers are around. Moving on, Robin inflicts debuffs in combat based on allies within 3 rows or 3 columns. She ignores any stat debuffs, she has no guard, and when her special triggers, it has full DR piercing, all good stuff. Robin's unique B-skill is according to plan. Every turn she gives attack and speed buffs and Conto 1 to nearby allies. She then inflicts Hush Spectrum and Panic onto the closest foes, and it spreads to 2 spaces from there. In combat, inflict more debuffs on the foe, and Robin gets the true damage and flat dart effect we've been seeing around this month. Exactly like Claude's Fallen Star 2, Robin uses positive statuses on herself plus negative statuses on the foe for up to 25 true damage and 15 flat DR. So, Duo Robin had attack and speed link 4. This skill grants the same effects without using a movement assist. As for Hush Spectrum, this is a Scout status with -5 stats as well. If the foe has Slaying, Robin's team will get -1 instant cooldown to match up. Quite a powerful effect. For inheritable skills, Robin has Flare and attack and speed finish. Her new inheritable C skill is Creation Pulse. If the foe has a penalty, grant +3 attack and speed, and if the unit uses an offensive special, they gain instant cooldown before their first attack. This instant cooldown is equal to the number of active negative statuses on the foe, with a max of 2. Robin inflicts Hush Spectrum and Panic, so ideally she gets -2 instant cooldown. With her Slaying Tome, this means instant flare proc, and it's a full DR piercing flare as well. Assuming any infantry can run this, Creation Pulse seems like it could be targeted at countering Scowl. For example, any unit with the Slaying plus Times Pulse 2 cooldown special builds gets countered by Scowl. Legendary Male Violet comes to mind. With Creation Pulse though, the -2 instant cooldown cancels out 1 Scowl effect and then charges the 1 cooldown special. The main issue is that the foe needs negative statuses, which not every unit's gonna have. For this Robin, technically with Hush Spectrum, she can also counter 1 layer Scowl and still pre-charge Flare. Maybe combine with Rally Spectrum for just an absurd amount of instant cooldown. You will need to sacrifice this Robin to use it on other units, but Creation Pulse does seem quite fun with this Robin on the same team. Overall, Brave Female Robin is quite unique due to Divine Vein Ice and Hush Spectrum if you don't have her dual ult. She is inflicting a ton of stat debuffs and going for DR piercing flares that pre-charge with instant cooldown. No Crom for extra actions this time, but she still gives Conto 1 support, which is nice. Retreating behind the ice terrain is gonna be wild. Like the new remix for Legendary Claude, you want to give Robin statuses and inflict negative statuses on the foe. She has 3 of these from her B skill, so try to get 2 more. Can't wait for the Robin vs Robin matchups with both sides, setting up those ice walls. Our next unit is Brave Felix. This is some top tier trolling by someone. We waited 7 years for a proper 11 sword in Faye, and instead of giving it to Robin, they instead give it to someone else on the same banner. There must have been a conversation about how funny this would be, and then they actually did it. Brave Felix is dressed up as a Three Houses Mortal Savant. It looks badass, but such a strange class in the context of that game. It's pretty dang fun in Three Hopes though. Now Felix adds his time skip color scheme to the armor, and the Crest of Odaris is a nice touch. Not very surprising, Felix is a sword infantry unit. His new Levin sword has accelerated specials with cooldown -2. Regardless of all the other powerful skills on this banner, that's the most concerning effect to me, basically opening the floodgates officially, not needing Emblem art to pull off those wacky shenanigans. On top of double slaying, Felix also has disencounter and adaptive damage because that's sort of the Levin sword thing. I do like that Felix has a solo +1 condition, that's funny. He will get stats based on speed, no guard, and 50% damage reduction piercing on every attack. We've come a long way from the old DC taxing days. Felix's B skill is Lone Wolf. It gives a phantom speed effect for +7 speed. If Felix has not been a part of any assist skills during the current turn, he gets another action in 2 cases. A, if he initiates, and B, if Felix just ends turn without doing anything. He can use both conditions once per turn, meaning Felix gets 3 actions without Gale Force potentially. In the clip, he moves, gets an extra action, attacks, then gets a second extra action. Felix will self-inflict isolation, so he really does need to act alone for this skill to function. In addition, in combat he has the same solo +1 ally condition. Felix inflicts -5 debuffs, deals true damage based on 20% speed, and gets flat DR based on 20% speed. If the foe hits him with a special, his flat DR is doubled. Fittingly, Felix also has attack and speed excel for more flat damage reduction. He also has the new Gust special for unpierceable %DR. Gust will be on 1 cooldown with double slaying. To tie Felix's kit all together, his new inheritable C skill is Endless Tempest. As the name implies, this is a permanent +1 movement buff every turn. New to the skill, if the initiator moves spaces to attack, you grant bonus stats equal to the number of spaces moved and neutralize the foe's field boss. Buff neutralization from the C slot is quite fun, and like Clash skills, the attacker just needs to move 1 space. As for Felix, 3 movement with Lone Wolf will lead to some wild plays. The guy can initiate from 6 spaces away. Overall, Brave Felix looks pretty fun. He has a DC weapon, but Lone Wolf creates unique player phase moves, and then double slaying is just wild. Add Emblem Marth for a, 2 cooldown Gale Force, 1 cooldown AoE special? Yeesh. I'm not sure how Felix's combat's gonna fare, but he'll be a fun generalist. Another sword master with no follow-up continues to be a funny trend. Kinda surprised they didn't go with a speed roll altering skill this year. On to the first place winners, Brave Bernadetta will get her time to shine. Time Skip Bernie is dressed as a Bow Knight from Three Houses. Color scheme is a little more tailored to her, and she's also wielding the Inexhaustible Bow. Bernie looks great, and once again she's a Blue Bow Cavalier. Very offensive stats, but Bernie's taking a clawed route and is kinda ready to brawl from afar or up close. The Inexhaustible grants console distance max of 3 and has slang. Naturally, it is a Brave Bow, but in Fey fashion, it's a dual-phase Brave Bow. If Brittany initiates or has a bonus, she gets stats based on speed, deals true damage based on speed, and gets 50% DR piercing. Half DR piercing Brave Bow is already incredible. Bernie's Persecution Complex has now turned into full-on Paranoia. This unique C skill grants no follow-up to Bernie, and then a Paranoia status to the team within 2 spaces. She also deals 1 damage to those allies, so as mentioned previously, Bernie has innate synergy with the new Harmonic Nephany. Now every turn, if Bernie is within 5 spaces of a foe, she inflicts any penalties on herself and puts them on the closest foe and foes within 2 spaces of that. Bernie also neutralizes those same penalties at the same time, although this doesn't count anything being applied at that same turn. For combat, if hurt, Bernie will get +5 attack and speed and no guard. As for Paranoia, this status needs the unit to be hurt, which this skill does with that 1 damage. Unit will get +5 attack and Desperation on the player phase. For the enemy phase, if you're hurt and if the foe has the same range or has 3 active penalties, then the unit gets Vantage. No Vantage for save units though. Now, we've been in a heavy healing focused meta, but Bernadetta doesn't want any of that. If you heal back to full HP, no Desperation, no Vantage. Not a huge deal for player phase since Bernie will re-trigger the 1 damage every turn, but for enemy phase this might be an issue. Regarding the penalty sharing cleanse, Bernie does need to be within attack range. That may not always happen. Now Bernie brings a new special, Curved Shot. It is inheritable, but assumingly this is an archer only special. Curved Shot seems to be a 2 cooldown special and will deal damage equal to the higher of the foe's speed or defense. Basically, it's Moonbow for defense, but against fast foes, it will use their speed against them. Now, Curved Shot also comes with Unpierced with 40% damage reduction if any special is ready in combat. The one catch is that the user must be able to attack during that combat. This means no % DR against melee foes if you don't have close counter, and no % DR in general if the foe has a sweep skill. Bernadetta will come with attack and speed prime, but she only gives herself no follow-up. She needs heavy status support for close counter, but she can get some % DR to tank with. Bernie won't have Fallen Star levels of tankiness, but she has Paranoia. Instead of getting hit like Claude, Bernie just has Vantage, and she can use it with a dual phase Brave Bow at half DR piercing. She can do this at any point unless the enemy has a sweep skill. For the player phase, Bernie has Desperation instead. With no follow-up, she has Quad Potential, and double Curve Shot procs can happen. She has Assassin Strike for more damage, and then Kanto Distance to run back to her room. Hardy Bang will stop Paranoia, but Bernie's still gonna hurt a lot. They showed her taking down Mr. Emblem Ike, but will Bernie have enough firepower in an actual game scenario? We'll see. I like how we just got a new Takumi ult, and then we get an Archer with Vantage and possibly close counter as well. That's a heck of a coincidence. Last up for this Brave batch is Brave Alfonse. The Brave title is so good, but I think this is the one time where King Alfonse is just a bit more fitting. The brightest spot of the Fae story finally gets a class change, sorta. Alfonse is dressed up as his father, Gustav, and his poses even mirror his dad as well. His artwork is amazing, and naturally Alfonse will be an Axe Cavalry unit to match Gustav. Personally, I'll be trying to +10 this Alfonse over time. He does look like a fun unit as well. Alfonse's Majestic Glitner has Kanto Distance +1 with a max of 4 spaces. Every turn, if allies within 3 rows or 3 columns, Alfonse gets +6 defense res and +1 movement. He also gets times pulse. For combat, Alfonse has Slaying and gets bonus defense and res while inflicting defense and res debuffs based on the number of allies in the 3 row 3 column range. He has true damage and flat DR based on 10% defense, and his specials get full DR piercing. After combat, Alfonse gets times pulse again, so basically he has times pulse 4. Like his sister, Alfonse is also a 4-move cavalry unit with immense Kanto range. He can pre-charge specials for DR piercing and stacks defense and res like crazy. A little bit of true damage, a little bit of flat DR, Alfonse won't be needing Triangle Adept to survive this time. His special, Makings of a King, is a 2 cooldown special, boost damage by 30% defense, plus great talent defense. More on that in a bit. Additionally, Alfonse gets unpierceable % DR similar to Emblem Ike, 40%, but it's lower the higher cooldown his special's at. Now every turn, Alfonse grants +2 to Great Talent Attack Defense and Res for himself, and +1 Great Talent Attack Defense and Res for allies within 3 rows 3 columns. After combat, if this special triggered, then grant +4 Great Talent stats to Alfonse and +2 to his allies. Basically, Great Talent is a brand new mechanic. Wouldn't be surprised to see this on other units. It is pretty much bonus flat stats, but these are not field boss. Makings of a King can give a max +20 Great Talent stats for Alfonse and +10 to allies. The overall Great Talent mechanic can go up to +99 of each stat, but you're going to need another unit besides Alfonse. Basically, every turn, Alfonse gives his team permanent bonus stats. For any mode without turn limits and doesn't have moving enemies, you could legitimately end turn 10 times, and now Alfonse has +20 attack, defense, and res. If this special triggers in combat, Alfonse hands out even more stats. Remember, this is a 2 cooldown special. Glitner has Slang and times pulse. Unless the foe has Scowl, Alfonse procs Makings of a King on hit 1. For his inhabitable B skill, Alfonse will have Reopening, which I guess is Guard 5. If healthy, inflict attack debuffs, inflict guard, and deal true damage based on the unit's defense with flat DR based on the unit's defense as well. If the unit has brave attacks or makes it fall, this is 10% defense, otherwise it's 20% defense. Reopening will be a true damage and flat DR option for probably any class type, we'll see. Guard has its uses, but there's a lot of no guard effects around, hence why Scowl has become pretty strong. Still, -5 attack with flat damage reduction may be enough to be useful. For this Alfonse, you potentially get 30% defense true damage and 30% defense as flat DR scaling. He's also going full Duso, no speed, all bulk Cavalier, so not expecting a follow-up at all. Do note, this isn't a defense focused skill, not the best for any higher res Oni units. Alfonse will also have an inheritable A skill. We just got Stronghold, and now there's Fortifications. -5 flat attack, +7 flat defense and res. If unit initiates, you get plus 6 defense and res and 10 flat DR against specials. After combat, apply Divine Vein Stone terrain within 2 spaces. In the enemy phase, if you're on a Divine Vein of any kind, unit gets distant counter. I suppose this would be close counter as well if ranged units can use this skill. Fortifications is very interesting. You need to initiate to deploy stone tiles and you get more bulk in combat. If you don't fight, you can't put down Divine Vein, which means no distant counter. However, it doesn't say it has to be Divine Vein Stone. You could use Robin's Ice Tiles or Divine Veins from any unit. I mean, technically, it seems like you can even use an enemy Divine Vein as well. Overall, King Alfonse looks amazing. Great talent is slightly concerning, but we'll see how prevalent it becomes. We didn't really see Soren's savior status get passed around more, so Alfonse could have this niche for himself. This is another case where stacking multiple copies might become a little silly. For combat, this guy is going to be tanky. 30% defense is flat DR while stacking a lot of defense and res. He then has unpierceable 40% damage reduction, and Alfonse is up to date on the Breath of Life 4 madness. His damage will come from pre-charged Makings of a King, but it does have DR Pierce. If he initiates, he can lay down stone terrain and then he'll get distant counter. If anyone deserves a good ult, it's definitely our OG Benchlord. If you want to summon, CYO 8 will be up with the next reset. This banner lasts a whole month, and these are permanent new heroes. CYO units get rerun pretty often if you want more copies later. Now, if you plan to go hard on this banner, there are 4 spark opportunities. You can spark each winner 1 time after 40 summons. If you want anyone here, everyone gets their 1 CYO winner for free. You can save this free pick for anyone you don't get, otherwise it's just a free copy. This will not go away for the next 2 years. On that note, the CYO 6 free pick is being retired. New players always have access to the 2 latest CYO free picks, so this one's gone soon. These units are probably getting refined soon as well, which is still insane to think about. Moving on, the surprise Choose Your Legends accompanying Grand Hero Battle unit is Panette. I'm surprised they aren't going to save her for a banner, considering Soam's up next for the Engage lineup, but hopefully she's still a solid heroic rail unit. From the small clip, Panette doesn't seem to be doing too much. She has a unique Berserker Axe, it has Slaying and seems to grant plus 7 to all stats. From the looks of things, her Dragon Fang proc does 23 more damage than expected. Panette has lost 23 HP, so it would appear she might have a Wrath adjacent ability. Owain's Refine has a similar mechanic where on special trigger, he deals true damage based on HP lost. Maybe Panette will get extra cooldown to simulate Wrath's crit increase as well. For stats, Panette has very high base HP and attack. Her 41 speed isn't slow, but not the fastest. Her 35 defense and 24 res is okay. Like the name of the axe, Panette seems to be going for the high risk, high reward Berserker crit life. I wonder what else this axe is going to do. Panette's Grand Hero Battle is going to start the day after the banner releases. We'll talk about her more for sure. With this update, we're definitely getting Gen 9 base stat totals, which means another Dragonflower limit increase. Everyone will get another 5 Dragonflower stats, and these CYO 8 units will start with the base 5 flowers. To celebrate, the upcoming Forging Bonds is going to give an extra reward for 1000 Dragonflowers of every type. Basically, you get a freebie for anyone you really want to max out for each movement type. Last bit of news is just a small web event for CYO. The legendary Teatime website is a small story event, and you can unlock wallpapers for each hero. They're going to unlock 1 day at a time, starting with Alfonse. I'll leave the link in this video's description as well. That's everything for the CYO 8 winter preview. The update will be out today, banner up on the next reset. We'll do a usual breakdown to discuss things a little more, and we'll see if there's any restrictions for the new inheritable skills. Let me know your thoughts, and thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.